Good afternoon. Today I want us to not necessarily depart from our daily discussion on the regulation of the church, but not talk about it today. We're talking on the issue of the freedom of conscience, freedom of creed, freedom of expression, freedom of speech. And listen to my point, and maybe just your point of view in a few minutes, if you follow. Let's take homosexuality. When we came in to power in 1994, and we found that the belief that homosexuality was taboo, homosexuality was unacceptable, homosexuality was unconstitutional, we came in as a nation, and the processes unfolded to an extent that we de-tabooed that. There's no such word. Now, in the process of saying that homosexuals have a right to practice homosexuality without fear, without intimidation, without any threat to their well-being, when that came, that could have been granted without taking away from those who did not believe that that's the way of life. Listen to my point. When you find me saying send all the gays to prison, and you say no, that's a freedom of choice, they have a right to believe that. I agree with you. They have a right to believe that. But then in the process, when you found me saying, the gays must go to prison, you can't say no. Let those who say the gays must go to prison be the ones going to prison. You can't do that. The government is in a process right now of drafting new legislation that will force all marriage license officials or licensing officials to marry gays. But that is wrong, because you are reversing the equation. You found the old South Africa saying we shall not marry gays as a rule, and you found that homophobic. Now when you say as a rule you'll marry them whether you believe it or not, you are introducing another form of phobia there. You now hate those who their conscience does not allow to do that. Let's move on. Let's look at atheism, the belief that there is no God. Now, the belief that there is no God is a belief. So it's a form of theology. Where we philosophers are concerned, see, I'm a philosopher, I sit there, and I see an array of beliefs. But each of them is a belief in its own right. And the belief that there is God is as valid as the belief that there is no God to the individual who believes it. Now, when somebody who does not believe there is God looks into the society, looks into the educational system and says, since there is no God, it's unfair for you to force me, who believes there is no God, to pray. They have a valid point. We can't force anybody. Prayer cannot be forced on anyone. But in trying to give those group of people a right not to be forced to pray, you can't take away the right to pray from those who believe. Let's look at the scenario now in society. I said to you 2 weeks ago, constitutional rights are individual rights. They're not necessarily corporate rights. That means I have a right to believe that, even if I was the only person who believed that. So in a workplace situation. Now, when you afford somebody the freedom not to observe any religious right, you cannot take the same freedom from someone to observe it. Now that's why we are confused, Christians. We are confused that somebody said no, the Judeo-Christian influence is too much in society. Let us introduce other freedoms. You have a right to say that. But in introducing other freedoms, in saying atheism, Islam, Hinduism, Baha'ism, Christianity are on the same level, you are right. You can't therefore take away the right for me to be Christian because you want to afford it to an atheist. That's unconstitutional, and that is illegal. My concern is in the process of removing the dominance of the Christian influence in society, you have made the belief in Christianity illegal. Now we are standing there and we are seeing rights taken from us, whereas the Constitution was not supposed to take my rights. It was supposed to afford the same rights to everybody else. Please listen to what I'm saying. Somebody says, I don't believe in the power of prayer. Is their right. But somebody says, I do. Is their right. In affording the person who does not believe in the power of prayer the right not to believe in that power, you can't take it away from the one who does. So that is why I said there was a reason why our constitution declared South Africa a secular state. That means we are giving rights of freedom of association, rights of freedom of conscience, rights of freedom of speech, rights of freedom of association, rights of freedom of thought to individuals. That means if I walk into a room, 30 people believe that Allah is God, they have a right to believe that. If 2 people believe that no, Jehovah is God, they have a right to do that. If 69 people say there is no God, they have a right to believe that. Now, I can't take anyone's right. Democracy is not taking anyone's rights. We are concerned, we Christians, that democracy has not come to give everybody their right. Democracy has come to take Christian rights. That is unconstitutional. In the process of giving people who believe different from us rights, don't take those rights from us. My child goes to a public school. I believe in prayer. My child believes in prayer. You don't take away from my child the right to pray, to give it to an atheist child who says there is no God. Now, the government is silly, because right now they are saying to us, you have no right to decide your child's belief. But what gives the government the right to do that? What gives the minority faiths and creeds the right to do that? Do not take my right away in an offer to give it to somebody else. I am a preacher of the gospel. My holy script is the Bible. An imam's holy script is the Quran. A rabbi's holy script is the Old Testament. The Mormons have their own Bibles. Each of us have a right to practice our religion without intimidation, without fear. Now, when my right is trampled underfoot and I am forced to officiate over homosexual marriages, you are discriminating against me. You are disregarding. You are taking away my rights in an effort to give it to the homosexuals. We need to revisit these issues, because the Constitution has not come to remove anyone's rights. The Constitution does not recognize majority and minority rights. It recognizes individual rights. You can't force me. You can't force me to say homosexuality is holy, because my holy script says it's not. But you also cannot force a homosexual from saying their belief is good, because their belief is that. Do not take away rights. You have no right. The government cannot take away anyone's rights to give it to another. That is what a secular state is. Think about this and you're going to realize that how timid the Christian community is. We have stood there and we have watched silently. We have seen Christian couples prosecuted because of their personal belief. And why? Because somebody deemed the other people's beliefs superior to our beliefs. Now the case in America should cause the South African government to be humble. There was that couple, a Christian couple, who refused to bake a cake for a homosexual couple. And now they were taken to court. How do you arrest somebody like that? If my faith says homosexuality is sin, but I believe that in such a way that I don't put the lives of homosexuals at risk, that can't be hate speech. It's in the space of my own personal private belief. Think about that and you begin to realize that Christians have stood there and have lost ground to every other group. And the irony is the groups we are losing ground to are minority groups. In the process of protecting them, we have been left vulnerable by this government. That is unconstitutional. Enjoy your day. Let me drive on.